How are you?
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is King.
Hi, King.
Very nice.
How old are you?
I'm 9 years old.
What grade are you in? Are you in school?
Yes, I'm in 3rd grade.
What's the big dream?
So I want to have my own TV show, and
Adorable.
and I want to tour around the world, and I want to star in movies.
Wow.
Okay, good luck.
Ooh, I can't wait. Let's go, King!
All right, Shalom. As always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Lord willing, this one will be edifying to the elect. And as you hear the young boy say, when he was asked what his dreams are, and his answer is that he wants to have his own show. He wants to be a movie star, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a common thing growing up in this wicked world run by these Edomites. These so-called white people, these Caucasians, which their true biblical name is Hebrew Edomites, and they run the world in wickedness, right? So the vibration that they push, the influence that they push is always things that have nothing to do with Yahweh Shem Yahushai, things that take you away from Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Because being an Israelite, being a so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American, scattered Israelite looking like the heathen, but the spirit of Israel runs through your flesh. It doesn't matter what nation you're born in. Israel is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. The point I'm making is that we are the salt of the earth. We have the talent, we have the flavor. So it's easy to be manipulated, right? And that's what Esau uses against us, because none of our children should be growing up thinking about wanting to be any movie stars or, any actors or anything wicked like that, because the gateway, the pathway to that is wickedness. It's evil. It's ritualistic things, sacrifices and so on and so forth, but we all grew up watching TV, seeing movies, wanting to be like these, people that look like us, or have a similar spirit like us, whether you wanted to be a basketball player, a football player growing up, whatever it may be, the path always leads to destruction and wickedness and selling your soul ultimately to this devil, and I'm going to go into a few precepts here, just to, shed light on the right direction, the right mindset, right? And Lord willing, this will, reach someone, at the right time that needs to hear this, because, us brothers in the know, we make videos to edify the body, not just the hopeful elect, but what I mean by that is, yes, the hopeful elect, but not just the prophets, because even the prophets and men of the Lord, we watch videos to be edified and exhorted, and lifted up in the spirit. But I pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushai that this reaches one of the hopeful elect that may not know the truth at this current time, right? So this is I'll start here. This is a good one. This is Ecclesiastes 10 verse 6, and it says, folly is set in great dignity, right? So folly referring to aspiring to be a movie star, aspiring to be a rapper, a pop artist, an NBA player. That's folly, man, and it's set in a high regard, right? These things are highly esteemed, and also just things like even nowadays streaming is a new thing that Esau has put a lot of his wicked demonic energy into, and a lot of youth are seeking that route. They're seeking to be streamers, just sit down and act a fool, perform acts of folly, in front of a computer screen as entertainment, and they get paid for it. It seems simple, act a fool, make a fool of yourself, and then you make a lot of money. You get gifteds on Twitch and so on and so forth. And this is really the spirit that's been on our people for some time now, for centuries, for decades, right? Again, so it says folly is set in great dignity and the rich sit in low place. Who is the rich? The rich is you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, Israelites, scattered, looking like the Asians, looking like even the so-called white man himself, right? We sit in a low place. We're far from our greatness. We fell from our stature, high stature, giant stature. We are the fallen angels that the Bible speaks of because we fell from that standard, going back to the time of Adam, because we are those people coming back in reincarnation as Israelites, right? So let me see if there's any more here. And I can now go to verse 7 is good as well. I have seen servants upon horses, and the servants are referring to these heathen, these Edomites, these so-called white people, Esau, Edom, right? Because Esau himself, he's a servant, right? And he's going to serve 1,000 years in the kingdom. You so-called white people, and then you're going to be extinct forever. And you're going to come back, we don't know what nation you're going to come back as, but you're going to perish like your own dung. You are the servants. So this scripture is saying, nowadays you see the white people, so-called white people, these crackers, which their biblical name is, they're biblically Edomites. They sit in a high place, right? They're on horses. They're in leadership. They're in rulership. They're the ones that are ruling the kingdom. As Job 9:24 states, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and the wicked is currently ruling upon horses. And it continues to say, and princes walking as servants upon the earth. And who are the princes? You, sons and daughters of Yasharallah. And Yasharallah means he prince power. He prince of the power, right? However you want to say it. We are princes. You Israelite men are princes. That's what Yasharallah means. That's what Israel means, right? But we are in a state where we are being led by a devil, and his influence, has gone out as a global cancer, corrupting everybody's mind, everybody's decision. It's a sticky one. It's a very tough world to live in. And you can only, you can only stay above this by having the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai working with you and guiding you. Otherwise, you'll be thinking about folly. You'll be thinking about things that destroy you spiritually. You'll be losing spiritually while you may be gaining in the flesh. You're losing spiritually, and it's better to gain things spiritually than to lose yourself spiritually, right? So really and truly, you should be fighting the flesh, not feeding into the flesh so much. So when you hear the young man, the little boy, 9-year-old boy say, he wants to have his own TV show, and he wants to be a movie star. That's all because of the vibration of this world, and also his parents not knowing the truth and being ignorant, because we all had been discontinued from our heritage. We all had, we all were Gentiles, right? And most of our people today are still currently in the state of mind of a Gentile. They don't know who they are. They don't know who their power is. So they don't teach their children the right things. They don't teach their children about the kingdom to come, the kingdom of Israel, that Israel are the true rulers, of the earth, the true chosen people of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. These children don't know that they're Israelites, and their parents don't know. Hence, they don't teach them these things, right? And there's a balance to things. There's nothing wrong with watching movies and, children watching movies or watching sports, but it's to have an understanding that you don't want to be like these people. You shouldn't idolize these people in the way where, they're better than you and I want to be like that one day. No. really and truly the examples that we should be setting and teaching our children are the examples in the Bible. Of the great men in the Bible, the prophets, going from Yahushua on down, King David on down, to all the great prophets, man, and all the great the good examples of women in the Bible as well. Women should be looking at those women as well as examples of how they should be, not the Cardi B's, the Nicki Minaj's, or the Megan Thee Stallions, or the Ice Spices. No. We shouldn't be looking at the Denzel Washingtons and the Brad Pitts, and all these different global icons, amongst our people. Because, we are the salt of the earth. We are the former of all things. So we shine in every category that we're in, whether it's righteous or whether it's wickedness. And we should never be shining in wickedness because we're created to be righteous only. Right? But the scripture, let's see here. I'm going to stop rambling a bit here. And, I'm going to just read them as I go by. But actually, I was looking for a specific one here. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. I don't think I got it. But nonetheless, let's go with the spirit. All right, so this is Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20. And it reads, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, and put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." Because there's a confusion in what's right and what feels good, and what's actually good for you spiritually. The mind, the spirit is a very important thing to take care of. And when you have understanding through the spirit of power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, then you can dissect certain things. Then you're able to indulge in certain things without it corrupting you. Right? Like music. These people of the world, music controls their thoughts and their actions, because a lot of these people, the wicked lyrics that they're listening to, they're actually living these type of lifestyles that are negative, whilst a man of the Lord can listen to this type of music and not follow it. Not to say only men of the Lord, but the Spirit has to be working with you for you to just listen to music as just a thing where you like the vibe and how it sounds, the flavor of Jake, and not listening to it I want to be like this guy, I want to do this, I want to do this wickedness. Because the reality is, most people that listen to the rap music or the R&B music or whatever genre it may be that they're listening to, reggae music, they're doing these things. They're smoking weed. They're sleeping with other people's wives, committing adultery. And that's the vibration of this world. This world encourages wickedness, right? And they don't highlight or exalt, I should say, righteousness. It's not righteousness. It's not something that is praised, or put on a pedestal. Or wickedness is what makes these people's flesh feel aroused, feel good, and feel excited, and encouraged and lively, which they're really dead people walking, but it gives them that deceptive, wicked spirit, man. As the scriptures say, the deceived and the deceiver are his. So the Lord has ultimately put our people in this spirit, and a lot of them can't see the spirit that they're in, the wrong that they're in. So they end up calling good things evil and bad things good. Like when you have young women walk by the camp here in Kingston, Jamaica, they look on the men of the Lord like they have horns on their head, man. Because that's not good to them. To them, that's foolishness. And what's good to them is simple things, man. Going out and dressing like a whore, smoking weed, sleeping with 5 different men in the space of 2 weeks or less. And I'm just being generous. Right? So that's the spirit of these people. and this is Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and it says, "Be not conformed to this world." And this is what I would say to this young man, this young boy, because he's not yet a man. You become a man at the age of 12. That's the beginning of manhood. And it says, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. This is what's good to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is what's good to who the world ignorantly calls God. You know, being not conformed to this world. You know, learning not the ways of the heathen and following them to do wickedness. You know, follow not a multitude to do evil. Right? The whole world and their aunties look to do, you know, the will of this world. They're conformed to this world. They want to be like Kai Cenat, you know, these young kids. They want to be like NBA Youngboy. You know, they want to be like Ice Spice. They want to be like who's these guys nowadays? Vibes Cartel or whatever, you know, these big figures, these wicked Israelite leaders that don't teach the people good. They lead them as sheep to the slaughter. You know, if blind lead the blind, what's gonna happen? They're all gonna fall into a big fat hole, man. They're all gonna fall into a ditch. So this is the advice again, as I said, I would give to that young man. Don't be conformed to this world. Look for spiritual things. Look for heavenly things. Look for spiritual gifts from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because there's nothing but vexation and vanity in this world. If those were the only things that we were getting from Esau, you know, we would be a part of the congregation of the dead, because we would be dead spiritually. We'd be just filling our spirits with foolishness, you know, smoking weed. You know, I used to be a weed smoker. A lot of us before this truth used to smoke weed, and it felt like the best thing ever, until the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai enters you. You know, that spirit then gets kicked out, because it's much more greater, it's much more fulfilling, it's true. It gives you that true understanding what life is supposed to be, what's actually profitable for you, right? You know, so point is very simple. Be not conformed to this world, man. You know, and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And how do you do that? By taking heed to the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, by taking heed to the scriptures, following the instructions of the scriptures. Simple things like not eating shrimp, not eating pork, goes a long way. Not having an eye for another man's wife and sleeping with her and saying, I don't care, I just sleep with this woman, and, you know, I just broke his foot, broke his leg, however, you know, Benjamin says it. You know, this is the mindset of these people, man. You know, in the music they listen to, they promote, you know, I just fuck the nigga bitch and shit like that. All of that is not things to be proud about, man. But that's the path that he is leading to. That's the path that's what would happen. That's the type of energy that comes with wanting to be a star in this world, you know, a movie star, a singer, an athlete, you know. And what happens is, if you want to achieve, you know, these things, if you watch the movie Him, which we already knew these things before that movie came out, but if you took the time to watch that movie, you would see it's a good example of how you get to achieve the stardom that, you know, these young kids, dream of, or dream to achieve, right? And this is Matthew chapter 4, verse 7, and it says, Yahweh Shai said unto him, it is written, thou shalt not tempt Yahweh thy power. Verse 8, again, the devil taking him up into an exceeding high mountain, showing him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And this is what these devils do, man. You know, these so-called white men do in the industry today. They offer you the world. And this is the exact spirit they come in. And then this is what the devil said, and he said and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee if thou wilt fall down and worship me. And there's always a catch. You have to sell your soul. If you want to achieve stardom, if you want to be a movie star, you want to have your own show, forget about it. Unless if you're not going to compromise yourself, sodomize yourself, or do something that destroys your spirit, then you won't achieve these things in sports, as an entertainer, because they're all entertainers, man. Whether you want to be a singer, an actor, you're an entertainer, man. For Esau, you're a slave for Esau. And when you pollute your spirit, when you sell your soul to the devil, then he rewards you with these small things that you seek to gain, that he has too much of, because these devils are the rulers of the world. They own everything temporarily, right? But that's just a part of the prophecy. So you sell your soul out just to achieve a mansion, just to have 5 supercars or whatever it may be. And we get it, man. Every we're in the flesh. We're gonna want things. We're gonna want a new car. We're gonna want a new car, but a new house or a new spot or whatever it may be. Clothes, jewelry, cool. We're Jake. We like flashy things. We like nice things. Whether it's gadgets, whatever it may be. All human beings have some desire to, in the flesh, or regardless of being humans, we want to enjoy things, but you don't enjoy it, at the cost of unrighteousness, at the cost of wickedness. Of those things are not, that's slaki. That's not the way how you should want to achieve these things. You should want to achieve these things through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, through righteousness, right? And we're gonna get into other scriptures where pretty much highlights the right mindset or path to achieve these things. Because no matter how these Jay-Z's or Diddy's or the new up and coming guy right now, if you're really looking at it, Kai Cenat, where the media is focusing, what these guys are achieving is nothing compared to the unborn child of one of these elites, sons, or however you want to say it. It's nothing. It's peanuts, right? A few $100 million is nothing. But this is what Jake sells their soul for. This is what Jake sides with the devil for, knowing that it's wrong, because they get a consolation, right? And he said, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee if thou wilt fall down. Thou wilt fall down and worship me. And Yahushua said unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord Yahweh thy power, and him only shall thou serve. And that's a mindset that you ought to be in, because if you're seeking or striving to be a movie star or have your own show, and that's really where you end up being and wanting to be, the only way you're going to achieve that is by compromising yourself, by selling yourself out, right? You will never get to that level without selling out to the devil. And that's why you have certain artists, certain one-hit wonders, or, athletes that get an injury and then all of a sudden, they're not the same anymore. It's all ritualistic. It's all because they did not go the extra mile. Some of them may have sold out to a certain extent, but they did not continue into the wickedness, which it's too late anyways. When it comes to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, he already sold out. Only way those guys would be delivered is if they give up all that they own and they go and come and serve Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which, 99% of them will never do that. But you'll never achieve the level of fame and riches through entertainment without selling out. So it's very important, if you're in the truth, if you know the truth, to teach your children these things from their young. That's how it's supposed to be. And it says in the scriptures, you should teach young men to be wise, to make wise decisions. And these industry decisions aren't wise. Okay? So let me see what else I have here. Yeah, because this is Matthew chapter 6 and 24, and it reads, "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Right? You cannot serve two powers, man. You can only serve one. And the only power you Israelites should be serving is Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Not these devils. But our people normalize serving these devils to achieve, entertainment rewards. I'm gonna say it like that because it's that simple. It's that low. You want to become this big star, at the cost of selling your soul to Esau Edom. You want to be the next LeBron James. You want to be the next Michael Jackson. You want to be the next I don't even know any female actors right now, but you want to be the next woman superstar. You're gonna do that because you're gonna sell yourself out because you want to achieve temporary fame, temporary glory. That's why when it comes to the kingdom of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you will not inherit the blessings. You will not inherit the reward. You will not be the first fruits of rulership. You will not be on the same level as the elect, because a lot of you people have received your consolation in this life, even if it's not on the level of these super, so-called superstar, these Israelite, celebrities, Denzel Washingtons, the Tyreek Hills, all of these different guys. You seek to be like them. You're in the same vibration as them. You're doing wickedness on the left-hand side. So what happens is that you still get to experience some kind of blessings from the wickedness that you're doing because you're working with the energies of the devil. So it's still the same shit, man. That's why a lot of these people, they get through with a lot of wickedness, a lot of illegal shit, because they're working with the spirits on the left hand side, because their vessel is their body, their vessel, their flesh is a gateway for these demons, man. But the point is, man, you can't serve these devils. You can't serve wickedness, evil, and serve Yahweh Hashem El Shai. You got to choose one. And a lot of you people already chose, to sell out to this devil, right? And the parents are just as bad for these children, because most cases it's the parents that sell these children off into the industry. And that's how it goes. These children don't just get up and get to the point of being a next prospect in the NFL or the NBA or the Barclays Premier League or the next big young superstar, movie star. No, it's the parents, man. Their parents act as handlers, or the parents hand them over to a handler because they know how the industry works and they want that fame, and they didn't get the opportunity to do it, so they do it with their children. And I'm here to tell you that's wrong, right? So this is Matthew chapter 16, verse 25, and this goes for the parents as well and the children. So, "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life for my sake shall find it." And in this context of a video, all of you people that got your consolation, you're going to end up losing your life. You're not going to get the salvation that the elect is going to be receiving, that the elect has been promised, that the elect will inherit, because you didn't make that sacrifice for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You didn't lose your life for the sake of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You saved your life, and made a deal with the devil, right? And the devil is not talking about a man in a red spandex with horns. The devil looks like the cracker you see every day, man, right? That's the spirit. That's the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan, man. These record execs, these different handlers, these elites, you know, that have their foot soldiers that give you these different deals. Those are devils, man. All of them are devils, and there's levels to it. It goes all the way up. Okay. So I'm gonna just end it in with this scripture here, 2 Timothy chapter 4 verse 8, and it reads, henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness. And this is what you should be looking towards. This is what you should be seeking to gain, a crown of righteousness, which Yahweh, the righteous judge, shall give me at the day, at that Salaki. Let me read it over. And it says, henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. And that righteous crown, when you go into that righteous crown, is going into rulership, man, royalty, you know. And this is a crown of salvation, right? So the word crown here is a Greek word.
Strong's G 4735, Stephanos. Stephanos.
Right, and it says a mark of royal or in general exalted rank, and will be exalted amongst all nations in the face of the earth. But you wicked ass Negroes, we will not inherit this blessing until you're reborn as a newborn, right? And then you'll understand righteousness, and then you'll be righteous and perfect. But you won't be on the same level as, you know, the ones that inherit the crown, because this is what we truly want. We don't care about Lamborghinis and big mansions on this side. We'll get our riches in the kingdom. Doesn't mean that we don't want a new car or have a decent roof over our heads. No, that's not what I'm saying. But we don't care about these things as much as you people. Matter of fact, not even close to as much as you people, because we understand what's coming. This is a crown we want, you know. And it also says the eternal blessedness which will be given as a prize to the genuine servants of Yahweh and Yahushai, the crown wraith, which is the reward of the righteousness, right? That which is an ornament and honor to one. So with this comes the kingdom, you know, and the saints will take the kingdom, and we will rule the world in righteousness, because as it is in heaven, it shall be on earth, right? The kingdom of heaven will be on earth, and that's what we seek. You know, we know that we're not going to achieve the riches that these wicked sellouts have achieved on this side, and we don't want it, because only way you achieve that on this side is through Esau, because the earth is given into his hands. So the blessings that we receive is from Yahweh Shemel Shai, and we first and foremost want more spiritual blessings than anything physical. But the Lord always gives us what we need. He always gives us enough. So, you know, I saw the video, you know, the young boy, you know, saying his dreams, and I'm like, you know, this is just a result of how Esau Edom has set up his rulership and kingdom and the influences that are out there. But the right mindset is to seek the crown, that crown of salvation, you know, that crown of righteousness, right? Royalty, rulership, you know. We seek a new world which will be only, you know, ruled in righteousness, you know, roughly paraphrasing, right? So I'm gonna just leave it there, and as always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rukah Kwadash, Abad Babal. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect.